So how did you get into public relations?
Well, it's kind of an interesting and curious story, I guess. I was a major in history and political science here and English Lit at the university. And the day I graduated, my mother said to me, "Now what are you going to do?" And it was a good question, because in 1944, a woman could look forward to, if she didn't plan to get married immediately, she could become a secretary, she could become a nurse, or she could become a teacher. I think those were the three choices. And none of those three appealed to me at the time. And so I took a fellowship that I was offered up at Boston University. And that didn't work out for me, because it seemed to me that the whole world at the time was in World War II. There was a tremendous a lot of action out there, and I was too young to join the Red Cross, which was one of the ways that women could get into the action, and I couldn't get into the State Department, which I had hoped to be able to do. So instead, I went back home to Pittsburgh at the time. That was where our family had ended up after many travels throughout the South and East, and got a job with the radio station. And I was a combination switchboard operator, receptionist, and continuity writer, with the promise, because I like to write, with the promise that if as soon as the station grew a bit, that I could get into continuity full time, and that did happen. And then I got married and still wanted a career, always had wanted a career, which I guess was unusual at the time, if you weren't going to teach or something. And my husband got a job in Chicago, and in those days there was no question about it. You know, you could, if you had it alongside your husband. And I went to Chicago and couldn't get a job in radio, because radio was running scared of something called television. And there was one television station, experimental though it was, in Chicago, and everybody was lined up for miles trying to get a job there. So I couldn't find any place for me, and I met a wonderful woman who was head of the Advertising Council, which had grown out of the World War II information service to support the war effort, you know, buy bonds, loose lips, sink ships, all those kinds of things. Getting sponsors and media to support the war effort, and it was so successful that that they kept it alive after World War II in order to support various nonprofit groups like the Girl Scouts, the Boy Scouts, the Red Cross, the March of Dimes, all that of the nonprofits. And today it still is thriving. You can see in Time Magazine or Newsweek or frequently sponsored ads for those nonprofits. Well, in any case, she met me and she took a liking to me, or at least she was